Everyone, my name is Eric Hopkins, aka JEL. Welcome back to the Dragon's Den. So this is my weekly WWE recap where I go over all the big news and storylines coming out of the WWE. So let's get into it without any further ado here. We started off with Smackdown last week, and of course we got the show opening up with the multiple superstars showing up at the arena at Madison Square Garden, live from New York City. Video recapping Jacob Fatu's debut last week, where he absolutely destroyed some of these guys like Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes. We saw the new Bloodline arrive backstage without Jacob Fatu. Solo Sikoa did answer when Paul Heyman asked where he was and walked right to the ring. Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton attacked them before anything can happen. After a break, the trio were still in the ring and ended up taking out security team as Nick Aldis, the general manager, looked angry. He returned later with cops to escort these three guys out of the arena. The crowd seemed hot for all this, and it got the show started with a lot of energy. But the Bloodline will be back later in the show. This is obviously going to be leading into the Money in the Bank pay-per-view on Saturday, where you've got the 3-on-3 trios match here between the Bloodline and Owens, Orton, and Cody Rhodes. So that'll be a lot of fun. I think this has got a good rivalry and intensity to it. So I think that'll be a lot of fun to check out here. But we got a lot more coming up with the Bloodline here before this show is over. But before we get into that, we got a very touching tribute to Leati, I think that's how you pronounce it, Sika and Anoa'i, Roman Reigns' father here, in memory of who passed away this last week. So rest in peace to Sika, and our heartfelt condolences and prayers are with Roman Reigns and his family and the entire Bloodline in real life, obviously, not just in storyline. But this is definitely sad to see. Nobody wants to see this sort of thing happen. And but WWE always does these heartfelt tributes, and I think they're absolutely awesome to see when they put all this cool video footage together from their careers. They do a great job with it. And like I said, rest in peace, Sika. You will be missed. Thank you very much for everything you've done for us as fans, no doubt about it. We also got some Money in the Bank qualifying matchups coming into the pay-per-view. We got Tiffany Stratton qualifying in a triple threat match. We also got the Naomi qualifying in her triple threat match for the Money in the Bank. We also got LA Knight advancing over Logan Paul and Santos Escobar in a triple threat match as well. Very fun to see here. Obviously, Logan Paul brought out Tyrese Halliburton from the Indiana Pacers, as obviously the Indiana Pacers recently defeated the New York Knicks in the NBA playoffs before the Indiana Pacers also got eliminated by the eventual NBA champion Boston Celtics. So, that was kind of a cool little thing there with Tyrese Halliburton, who was on Monday Night Raw last week in Indianapolis, to come out with Logan Paul to kind of, stick it to the fans a little bit there. Of course, by the end of the match, everything was, after it was all over, you had LA Knight finding Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks as well to kind of have a standoff at ringside before Knight picked up the win by reversing a roll up from Logan Paul to get the pinfall victory to advance into the Money in the Bank ladder match. So yes, it was definitely kind of cool to see all that, with the celebrities. Kind of harken back to the days of Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman from WCW with Diamond Dallas Page and Hulk Hogan. So that sort of stuff was really cool to see as well. So it was just kind of a nice little callback moment, but at the same time, kind of playing into the real life sports aspect of things too. So it was kind of cool to see, but definitely excited for all these three who ended up qualifying for the Money in the Bank ladder matches this weekend. So I think WWE's, like I said in my last week's video, they've been doing a really good job of kind of, booking these triple threat matches to kind of give you that unpredictability factor, so where you don't know exactly who's going to be advancing. And I think they did a really good job with the winners as well. Some of them I've kind of expected, some of them I've not. So I'm looking forward to seeing what all these contenders will be doing in the ladder match, because I think that's what Money in the Bank is pretty much for, is to kind of let some younger talent shine, as well as give a younger talent an opportunity to eventually go for a world championship here. So I can't wait to see where they take all this coming up on Saturday. Of course, with all that out of the way, the majority of the show centered around Paul Heyman and the Bloodline. This was Kayla Braxton's last show on WWE programming, so I thought that was really apropos, because there is a running gag that goes on SmackDown where Paul Heyman will be walking into the building or walking in the back, and Kayla Braxton will kind of startle him and scare him, and he'll clutch his chest and be like, "Oh my God, where'd you come from? Stop doing that to me." So on Kayla Braxton's final show, it was really cool to see Paul Heyman be the one to scare Kayla Braxton backstage. So again, kind of came full circle. Cool little storyline that they were telling there. But we wish Kayla Braxton all the best, wherever it is she ends up going or what she ends up doing with her career. So that's awesome to see. But at the same time, sad to see her go, but it was kind of cool to see this nice little storyline. It's a little Easter egg stuff that they've been doing that they kind of brought full circle. So it was really cool to see. Obviously, the biggest thing on the show was, of course, the main event segment, the Bloodline Acknowledgement Ceremony. The main event segment this week to officially make Heyman the wise man for Solo Sikoa. The new tribal chief promised Heyman that Jacob Fatu was not there because obviously Paul Heyman was terrified. Obviously, it looked like he hadn't slept. I believe the reports going around that Paul Heyman even did not sleep the night before to make this look even better on camera. You could clearly tell he's disheveled. He's got red eyes. He's got the white, 5 o'clock shadow and stuff. Paul Heyman just looks all out of sorts here. And kudos to him to going that extra mile to making this work. Without Paul Heyman, I don't know how well the Bloodline stuff would be working without Roman Reigns right now. But obviously, we'll see if we'll be seeing Paul Heyman anytime soon. He might be taking some time off. We'll be getting the Bloodline with Solo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and now Jacob Fatu kind of going off on their own, maybe for a short period of time, maybe before we get into SummerSlam. So if that's the case, it might not be too long, but it sounds like the four are going to be kind of spreading their wings and going solo for a little bit as they kind of wrote out Paul Heyman, as I'll get into in just a second. As soon as they got to the ring, Solo Sikoa welcomed Jacob Fatu to the ring, revealing that he was lying earlier about him not being there. They stared right at a shocked Paul Heyman as Jacob Fatu came to the ring. Fatu, Tama, and Tonga Loa acknowledged Solo Sikoa as their tribal chief, but Paul Heyman hesitated. He said he loves Solo, but said that he is not his tribal chief. Solo Sikoa then attacked him with the Samoan spike and ordered Fatu to hit a flying headbutt. They then put Paul Heyman through the announce table with a triple power bomb a la the Shield back in the day. The show ended with the new Bloodline standing tall as the crowd chanting something that WWE had to censor out. This was a great way to kick off the next chapter of the story. Now Roman Reigns is going to have to eventually return to get his revenge for his wise man. So I imagine whenever Roman Reigns does return to WWE programming, he'll probably be returning with the wise man Paul Heyman to confront this new bloodline that has kind of taken shape in Roman Reigns' absence. So again, they're just going to continue to build this up to potentially Survivor Series at War Games. That is my prediction here. I've been saying it for a while here, probably since WrestleMania. We've been talking about it. We're going to continue to talk about it here as long as this continues to go on here. But we're going to get the new bloodline with probably against Roman Reigns, potentially the reuniting of the Usos. I know Jay's kind of doing his own thing right now, but at the same time, I think he could probably come over here for a little bit or somehow to make this work at Survivor Series since it's a dual branded show and things like that. So you could have both of them kind of appear on different shows for that. Even though I kind of am a stickler for the draft, I like the Raw guys to stay on one show and SmackDown to stay on the other. But for this, it's like it's such a big thing. You've got to do the Bloodline versus Bloodline thing, and Sami Zayn involved as well. So could we potentially be getting The Rock joining Solo Sikoa and him actually being the tribal chief, or is he going to be the one kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes, or is Solo Sikoa legitimately the new tribal chief of this bloodline? We'll have to wait to see. But I honestly I can't wait to see what they do with that, and obviously we could be getting Roman Reigns coming back sooner rather than later because SummerSlam is right around the corner after Money in the Bank. So we could be getting, Roman Reigns coming back to challenge Solo Sikoa for the rightful spot at the head of the table and the tribal chief position. So that could be coming up at SummerSlam one-on-one. We'll have to wait and see. And then that can maybe even herald the return of The Rock then to set up something later down the line. Obviously going into next year's WrestleMania with the rumored main event being The Rock versus Roman Reigns. So yes, all this is going to play over very well. It's one of the best things WWE's got going for it, in my opinion. The best storyline WWE's got right now. Monday Night Raw's got some intriguing stuff too, but this is the best thing. This is the moneymaker here, and obviously Cody Rhodes is going to be interjected into it, as he already kind of is a little bit with the six-man tag coming up on Saturday, but even more so going into WrestleMania next year, could we be getting The Rock versus Cody Rhodes? Obviously, The Rock and Cody Rhodes teased that right after The Rock left after WrestleMania. What did he hand Cody Rhodes on the night after WrestleMania? We'll have to wait and see on that one. Could that be coming up at SummerSlam? That is the big question too. Or are they going to hold that till WrestleMania? Probably not, because it's Rock Roman. But yeah, definitely a lot of great stuff coming down the line here. But kudos to Paul Heyman, an absolute trooper. Did a great job with this and allowed them to use him, put him through a table at 58 years old. You got to understand, Paul Heyman, obviously a lot of people are like, well, he's not in great shape, but Paul Heyman has, is a man who is definitely sold out for this business, and he's put his blood, sweat, and tears into it. And you got to respect Paul Heyman, the Hall of Famer here, without a doubt, no doubt about it. I know he's had his history, and a lot of people are like, well, Paul Heyman's done this or that. Who cares at this point? Paul Heyman's done a great job with WWE over the last 20 years or however long he's been there at this point. He's been a trooper. He's been there for a long time, and I can't wait to see him return with the tribal chief. It's going to be one of the most massive babyface pops you've heard in a long time, and it's going to be absolutely outstanding. Can't wait to see that. So that being said, let's jump into Monday Night Raw here just a little bit. Show started off with Sami Zayn coming down to the ring here. He's cutting a promo, kind of hyping up his participation in the Money in the Bank coming up on Saturday. He vowed to leave Toronto with the briefcase, which brought out Chad Gable, who also last week qualified for the Money in the Bank ladder match on Saturday. The two exchanged words with Chad Gable looking to shift the attention of the Wyatt Six from himself to Jey Uso. That did not work, however, because after a brief physical exchange between Jey Uso and Chad Gable, the loudmouth former leader of the Alpha Academy found himself again dodging the newcomers of the Wyatt Six here as everything got really dark and all that sort of good stuff. And obviously he's tried to run away, but we got all these silhouettes of the Wyatt Six kind of coming out from the backstage area to kind of taunt Chad Gable a little bit here. So Chad Gable did end up escaping through the crowd, only to be taunted by these shadows. But the former Olympian took off through the stands. At the same time, Abby the Witch, the as of yet to be revealed Nikki Cross, though, presented Michael Cole with yet another cardboard box that was taped up. Michael Cole said there was a VHS tape in there a little bit later on. This was a great segment to kick off the show. It focused on the ladder match on Saturday, teased a potential rivalry with Jey Uso and Chad Gable, and gave us the latest from the Wyatt Six. So definitely a big thumbs up to start the show. No doubt about it. It was one of the better starts to Monday Night Raw I've seen in a while. And of course, Monday Night Raw, it does have its ebbs and flows because it is a 3-hour show. So that being said, the very next thing we got was Karrion Kross versus Xavier Woods. I'm not really feeling this potential feud here per se. It's missing something, but we may be getting that missing piece back at some point. But yeah, they're definitely spending weeks and weeks attempting to lure Xavier Woods away from his New Day tag team partner Kofi Kingston. The Final Testament have been trying to get Xavier Woods to go out on his own, and of course Xavier Woods is best friends with like Kofi Kingston. And of course, this whole thing ended up with Xavier Woods getting the surprise victory over Karrion Kross, even though Karrion Kross has been saying, you've been losing, come join us and you can win. Well, he beats Karrion Kross here. Then, of course, that's Karrion Kross and the Final Testament off, and they end up leaving the New Day absolutely laying here. And Karrion Kross even puts Kofi Kingston in this crazy arm bar, but it really didn't look like it was hurting Kofi because Kofi had his elbow bent upward like this, so it looked like he really wasn't contorting the arm in any weird different way. So at the same time, it didn't look like it really hurt Kofi really much. But at the same time, they definitely laid out both guys. Of course, it feels to me like this could potentially be leading up to something special because if what I read online was true, I don't remember if it was the end of June or the end of July, but I think it was the end of July that in 2014, 10 years ago at the end of July, will be 10 years since the New Day formed. They became a tag team. So could we potentially be getting a setup for the Big E return on the 10-year anniversary or around the 10-year anniversary since the New Day formed as a tag team? So that could very well be coming. That would be very poetic and very good storytelling if they were able to bring that up and mention that on commentary, things like that, or mention it in promos. So we could be potentially leading up to that. So definitely keep your fingers crossed. I would love to see Big E back in the ring, but at the end of the day, it really matters what his health is and whether he wants to get back in the ring and what he's prepared to do. I know that probably was definitely a scary ordeal that he went through when he broke his neck on that belly-to-belly suplex. So let's hope everything's good with Big E. I've heard it's up to him, and WWE wants him to come back, but whenever he's ready to do so. So they may be potentially setting that up for a 3-on-3 matchup, New Day versus the Final Test. We'll have to wait and see what they do. Next up, we have Liv Morgan versus Zelina Vega for the Women's World Championship here. Yeah, this kind of all broke down once Dominic Mysterio kind of come down to the ring. Dominic Mysterio ended up sliding a chair into the ring to kind of help out Zelina Vega, but Zelina Vega didn't want the help, and she kind of went to and she whacked Dominic Mysterio with it, which caused a distraction to allow Liv Morgan to kind of get the pinfall here to retain her championship. The creative team definitely played on Liv Morgan's victory over Becky Lynch, in which she also benefited from a steel chair mishap courtesy of Dominic Mysterio. It was a clever way to book more of the same without settling into too much repetitiveness, in my opinion. Michael Cole on commentary said, "You screwed up again, you big dummy Dom." So, it's just one of those deals where, again, they're playing up the fact that Dominic Mysterio isn't in on this. Clearly, Dominic Mysterio is doing this on purpose. Him and Liv Morgan are together at this point. If you can't see that, obviously, a lot of fans don't want to, have that ruined for them, I suppose. But if you can't see it coming a mile away, clearly here, you're not as big of a wrestling fan as you think you are, because obviously I've been watching this for over 30 plus years because, I can see this coming a mile away. But that doesn't mean it's not executed well. They're doing a great job of executing it to kind of giving you that shock factor when it does get revealed that Dominic Mysterio is in cahoots with Liv Morgan. However, they're doing a good enough job to where it could potentially even be Finn Balor who's in cahoots with Liv Morgan, because obviously Liv Morgan helped the Judgment Day win the World Tag Team Championships here on Raw last week from the Awesome Truth. And of course, at the beginning of the show, we saw her in the locker room with Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Carlito. So again, they're doing a good enough job to kind of get you to question where her loyalties lie. Obviously, she's been focusing the most on Dominic Mysterio because obviously she wanted to take everything from Rhea Ripley after she won the women's world title from her. And of course, with Dominic kind of saying that, he hasn't talked, well, he's tried to tell Damian Priest that he has talked to Rhea Ripley, but Priest called him out on it because he just talked to Rhea Ripley, and Rhea's furious, according to Damian Priest. So the fact that Dominic is lying about talking to her, we've got these hotel cards and things like for the rooms and stuff being passed around between Finn and Dominic. I'm still going to stick to the theory that Dominic Mysterio and Liv are the ones in cahoots, not Finn Balor. But at the same time, Finn Balor is definitely Liv Morgan is definitely causing dissension amongst the Judgment Day, which is probably her final goal. But at the same time, I would love to see Liv Morgan and Eddie Guerrero kind of become this like China and Eddie Guerrero thing, like Mamacita type of thing. I would love to see that kind of coming down the line. For those of you who remember that storyline back in the day, that would be absolutely outstanding, in my opinion. Obviously, we've not had Rhea Ripley on television due to the fact that she's been injured as of late, but they also did an injury angle on AEW television for Buddy Matthews and with the House of Black. So obviously they did all that for AEW. Was absolutely a work, for those of you wondering if it was real or not. We now know for a fact that Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews got married recently, and obviously that's a crazy photo between the two, but happy for the happy couple. That's kind of where they've been at lately. So whenever Rhea Ripley does come back to the Judgment Day storyline, obviously she's going to be absolutely out for blood against Dom or Liv or whoever it is going to be ripping the Judgment Day apart, because she's going to be like, what happened while I was gone? And of course, Buddy Matthews will be back on AEW television at some point too, making his return to the House of Black as well. But good on them. I'm sure they're on their honeymoon, so wish them nothing but the best, and hope for nothing but happiness for them in their marriage. Seth Rollins made his way to the ring to discuss Saturday's World Heavyweight Championship match with Damian Priest, in which a loss would result in him being unable to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship title again. They've still not, as far as I can tell, really said that it's just against Damian Priest, but he says again. So it almost sounds like ever, but I'm pretty sure it's while Damian Priest is the world champion. We'll see if they play into that. But that kind of tells me Seth Rollins is going to win this match and Damian Priest is going to lose it. But not only that, if Damian Priest loses, he has to leave the Judgment Day. So again, it's going to kind of push that narrative forward, in my opinion. So we'll probably be getting Seth Rollins and Gunther at SummerSlam. Before he could lay out what it would mean for him, including a look inside at the man he is, Finn Balor interrupted, and Damian Priest then shortly followed, and chaos reigned after that. Things turned physical. The heels laid out Seth Rollins, and despite clear dissension within the ranks, made their way to the back to close out the segment. Obviously, Damian Priest does not want help, and he does not appreciate the fact that Finn Balor is trying to help him without his approval. So he told Finn Balor in the back, he's like, on Saturday, I don't want any help. So but again, the leadership at the top of the Judgment Day is kind of where all this is centered on here. I kind of think that Finn Balor could potentially even turn on Damian Priest if he were to lose the World Heavyweight Championship on Saturday to Seth Rollins and officially take the leadership role of the Judgment Day. So Finn Balor may become your new leader of the Judgment Day moving forward. It could end up being a trios faction by the time it's all said and done, with Carlito and JD McDonough, or just a tag team before this is all said and done, with Dominic Mysterio could also go out on his own as well. He's getting a little haughty as well. So yeah, he's getting a little bit of headstrong. So we'll see what happens with all this, but a lot of moving parts. I like this sort of storytelling. You got all sorts of interweaving storylines and stuff that could potentially play out between all these different characters. So great job by WWE's creative in this regard. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun match, I think, on Saturday between Rollins and Priest. Should be a banger, no doubt about it, as I said last week as well. Can't wait to see that, and looking forward to seeing where the world title goes leading into SummerSlam. We got yet another woman qualifying for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Zoe Stark qualified in her triple threat match against Dakota Kai and Ivy Nile here. So definitely good to see her kind of getting a little bit of a push as well. Don't think she's going to be winning that per se, but at the same time, good to see her getting a little bit of time to shine at the pay-per-view. That's absolutely great, no doubt about that. We found out what was on the latest VHS tape. The latest videotape featured Uncle Howdy and Bo Dallas once again. The world was treated to the reveal that the latter was talking to himself the entire time. We're the ones everyone wanted to forget about. We made them notice us, Bo Dallas said when asked if he thinks he is special, to which he responded that to believe he is special is to suggest there are those who deserve to be forgotten. There you are, said Uncle Howdy in response, realizing he had exposed the real Bo Dallas to the world. So, yes, Bo Dallas even said, I was destined to do this. We've become family. So, again, very much playing into the legacy of Bray Wyatt here. Absolutely love what they're doing with it. The end of the video obviously showed Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy sitting across from each other. And at the end of the video, Bo Dallas disappeared, and it was just Uncle Howdy sitting there, revealing the fact that Uncle Howdy and Bo Dallas are one and the same. So definitely, we know the member, the only member we know of the Wyatt Six as of this point on camera is Bo Dallas. They've not revealed the other members of the Wyatt Six just yet. I'm sure they will do so on camera at some point. I know they've kind of revealed it to the crowd a few times, and I think they've been seen out going to like Whataburger and things like that. There's been some pictures going around the internet. But if you want to know, we also discussed who was here on the channel as well. But definitely cool to see them playing into this and kind of showing why the character of Uncle Howdy is the way he is based on the fact of Bray Wyatt passing away, and now Bo Dallas kind of feels like it's his birthright. It's a thing he's carrying on for the family. So that's really great storytelling. Love where they're going with this. Looks like they're going to be stalking Chad Gable a little bit here, talking about how families who've been turned on by people, they don't like the fact that families are being turned on. And of course, Chad Gable just turned on the Alpha Academy, who he called his family. So again, the storylines are kind of merging a little bit in a way, and it's good storytelling in my opinion. So I absolutely love to see what they're doing with it. We'll see where it goes, but it's definitely creepy as all get out for sure. Next up, we got Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. Liv Morgan come down to try to again kind of interject herself a little bit here with Dominic Mysterio's match, and Rey Mysterio kicked Dominic Mysterio on the outside. So we got the reverse effect of what happened a few weeks back, where Liv Morgan ended up landing on Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio landed on Liv Morgan, and Liv Morgan was loving every second of this. Dominic Mysterio tried to get up off of her, but she was grabbing and holding him down. So I'm telling you, this must be a horrible thing to be Dominic Mysterio. I'll tell you that right now. But I envy the man. But at the same time, this played in really well, and Zelina Vega come down and jumped Liv Morgan as well. And of course, Rey Mysterio ended up picking up the win here over Dominic Mysterio to kind of again just kind of play into the whole father versus sons stuff they've been doing for many years now at this point, especially since WrestleMania and things. But of course, could we potentially be getting a mixed tag coming up with Rey Mysterio and Zelina versus Liv Morgan and Dom? That could very well be a thing. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But definitely, again, just kind of playing into whole Liv Morgan and her chaotic storyline here, where she just keeps messing with the Judgment Day and especially Dominic Mysterio. We'll see where it goes, but I love what they're doing so far. Next up, we had Sami Zayn in the ring to cut a promo here. He was interrupted by Braun Breaker. Sami will defend the Intercontinental Championship against Braun Breaker Saturday at Money in the Bank. But before he faced the toughest challenge of his title reign to date, the underdog from the underground found himself face to face with the most unstoppable force in WWE today. After suggesting Breaker has not done his homework if he does not know Sami Zayn and what he has accomplished, the Intercontinental Champion found himself on the receiving end of a brutal spear as Braun Breaker sprinted around the square circle for another social media dominating spear. Sami Zayn leapfrogged him and he crashed into the steel steps. The explosive heel rebounded and ended Sami Zayn's night with a second spear before standing tall to close out the segment. This segment was short and sweet and to the point, but it definitely highlighted the fact that Braun Breaker is a force to be reckoned with. Talked about how, Sami Zayn, he felt like he was brave, but he didn't have a whole lot of brains and didn't know anything about Braun Breaker. But at the same time, Sami Zayn also pointed out that he gets knocked down, he gets back up. So there's been a lot of guys who come at him over the years saying they're going to put him down, but yet he continues to fight. He continues to fight. He's ever the underdog. So I really like what they're doing with this. It should be a great match between these two on Saturday night on Money in the Bank. So this could be a great Intercontinental Championship match. I really like the fact that Hunter is putting the Intercontinental Champion back in the spotlight here and making it the workhorse title as it always was and how it's always been meant to be. So I'm excited to see that. And of course, Sami Zayn or Braun, whoever wins, is going to have a litany of great challengers between Sheamus and Ilya Dragunov or freaking Ludwig Kaiser or whoever it might be. There's all sorts of great contenders for the Intercontinental Champion, and I can't wait to see where they take it after this match on Saturday. But it should be a great match. I don't know if they're going to crown Braun Breaker just yet. It feels a little bit premature still since he just got to the main roster. However, if you want to continue to push him as this dominant star, you may put the title on him here. I'd have no problem with it personally. I think Braun's been doing a great job, and I hear the company in the back and all the executives and the creative side of things are really high on him at this point. So I could definitely see in that. And I noticed when he was cutting the promo tonight, he definitely sounds like Scott Steiner more when he cuts his promos. He looks like his father Rick a little bit, but he definitely sounds like Scott when he cuts his promo. So definitely love to see that. Can't wait to see where this goes. I also thought it would be interesting before we get into the main event with Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Ilya Dragunov to mention that Drew McIntyre was wearing this DM Hunk shirt, which is a play on CM Punk. So I thought that was really cool to see. Definitely kind of sticking it to CM Punk there. So I don't know why I got a kick out of that. So it was really cool to see. You can check that out right now on WWEshop.com if you're interested. But yes, Drew McIntyre obviously competed in a triple threat match for another spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I think this may be the final one for the men's. I'm not positive. But yes, this was definitely a very physical match, as obviously a match with Sheamus and Ilya Dragunov obviously would be. But they definitely did not disappoint. The three competitors beat the hell out of each other, testing both their will to win and desire to advance to a potentially career-altering opportunity. The match progressed nicely until Drew McIntyre deposited Dragunov on the floor. Then he teed off with Sheamus in the ring. Stunned by a jumping knee, he still managed to shake it off and flatten the Celtic Warrior with the Claymore for the pinfall victory. So now Drew McIntyre heads to Money in the Bank, where he vows to win the titular match and leave as the world champion that night. He claims he's going to cash in the Money in the Bank on Saturday after he wins this. So whether he does or not, I think definitely depends on whether or not CM Punk once again makes an appearance and potentially cost Drew McIntyre his world championship here. He did it at WrestleMania after he won the title. He cost him the title at Clash at the Castle in Drew McIntyre's home country of Scotland. Then Drew McIntyre, returned the favor and destroyed Punk in Chicago. And now at the end of this show, we got Drew McIntyre once again putting on the bracelet that he took off of CM Punk with his dog's Larry name on there, as well as his wife AJ Lee's name on there. So this is going to get very personal. And if CM Punk cost Drew McIntyre the title yet again on Saturday night Money in the Bank, this match is definitely happening at SummerSlam. I have no doubt about it, as long as CM Punk is ready to go and he's been cleared by doctors, which I think the way this is ramping up, it makes all the sense in the world that that's what they're going to be doing. So I can't wait to see that. And part of me wants to see, just as a fan, not with Punk, I don't know, you gotta love him or hate him. I used to love the guy. I kind of see how he is, behind the scenes a little bit. Sounds like he's maybe turned his life around a little bit. If that's the case, I want to root for him. But at the same time, I like the fact that we could be getting Drew McIntyre just beating the ever loving snot out of CM Punk too. Let's hope that Punk can stay healthy for WWE in this case. He's been hurt a lot over the last few years. He got hurt twice in AEW and has now been hurt again, once again, once he had his first match in WWE in the Royal Rumble. So the question now becomes whether or not CM Punk can stay healthy and whether or not he can get that WrestleMania moment that he was hoping to get this last year. We'll have to wait and see. But either way, I think the SummerSlam match between Drew and CM Punk is probably the second best story that they're doing on WWE programming right now. And it's been done very, very well, in my opinion. And I'm excited to see where it goes. But what do you guys think about where WWE is going right now? What did you guys think about WWE this week, SmackDown and Raw? Great shows, in my opinion. Not been covering NXT a whole lot on the channel because there's not really been a whole lot, in my opinion, to kind of pique my interest. But if NXT does something spectacular, I'll definitely check it out. And also, if you're tuning in to the channel to check out my Forbidden Door thoughts for AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, check out my AEW weekly recap on Thursday morning this week. I'll be going over that pay-per-view as well when I talk about Dynamite and stuff going on in AEW this week as well. But comment below. Let me know what you guys think of everything WWE. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, everybody. And until my next video, guys, take care and God bless.